scenes and details may be intense or unsettling for certain viewers.
Welcome to the Cartel, where power, danger, and cash runs everywhere. You are the cartel's off-book money launderer, and you work at night because daylight asks questions. You are in a currency exchange back room under a dying fluorescent tube with a metal table and a camera dome aimed at your hands. You are here because a kidnapping ransom just landed and the boss needs it cleaned by sunrise for a territorial push. You are doing it now because the longer the cash sits, the more eyes it grows. You already know the worst part. If the money is marked, it is not money, it is a leash. You slide on latex gloves and cut open the first plastic-wrapped brick. The counting machine starts its hungry chatter. Stacks fan out under the rollers like cards you can't afford to lose. You spot it on the third stack. Tiny ink stamp, not random, repeated. A pattern that was meant to survive sweat, dirt, panic. You keep feeding the machine anyway. You keep your breathing flat. On the fifth brick, your blade catches paper that is not supposed to be there. You pinch it out like a splinter. A folded ledger page, thin and dirty, pressed between bills. You unfold it. Hand-drawn arrows, coordinate-style numbers, little boxes like stops on a route. Whoever hid this didn't just want the cash found, they wanted the cash followed. The armed cashier by the door shifts his weight and watches you watch the page. He doesn't ask, he doesn't need to. Your burner phone vibrates against the metal table. You answer without looking up. The boss's voice comes through hard and flat. He tells you clean by sunrise. No delays, you glance up at the camera dome, one quiet twist. The lens turns away from the table. You could trash the ledger page, pretend you never saw it. Let the tracker map someone else, instead you fold it smaller. You slide it into your wallet, you choose to know, and the moment you do, you feel the room get tighter around you. You drop to the parking garage level with two duffels that pull your shoulders down. Sodium lamps burn above you. Shadows live between columns like they pay rent. Your driver waits beside a sedan with the keys ready. He keeps his eyes on the exit gate. He wants speed. You want control. You pop the trunk and weigh the duffels with your hands. Too heavy to be clean, too specific to be safe. You open one bag and start sorting. Marked bundles in one pile, unmarked in another. You build a third bag that is just enough to look real. You tape a spare phone under the trunk liner. Screen off. Silent, bait. At the far end, a motorbike idles near the gate. The rider doesn't look around like a lost guy. He looks straight through the garage like he already owns the angles. You pause, you lock eyes with a dark visor. You slam the trunk shut harder than you need to. Your driver asks what you want. You point him at a looping route. No straight lines, no predictable turns. You make the decision that ruins everything later. Two pipelines, real cash goes to your fronts. Marked cash goes on a decoy ride with a tracker phone glued to it. If someone planted that ledger page to map you, you're going to feed them a map you drew first. The corner market stockroom smells like cardboard and detergent. One bare bulb swings overhead like it's nervous. You push through the bead curtain and put the ledger notebook on a crate. The shop owner stands there with ink-stained fingers and a throat that keeps trying to swallow. You don't waste time. You tell him to ring inventory that never existed. You tell him to stamp receipts until his wrist hurts. You tell him to slide cash bundles into the safe behind the detergent boxes. He tries to talk. You grab his wrist and press his thumb down onto the receipt. A signature that can't deny later. You keep your eyes on the stockroom door, not his face. Two customers drift at the front counter. Ordinary people. They don't know their inches from felony math. You photograph every receipt. You send each photo to a contact labeled accounting. No names, names die. Your phone buzzes again. New message. It isn't a threat, it's worse. A photo of your sedan leaving the garage, shot from above. Clean angle, time-stamped. You feel your jaw tighten. That motorbike wasn't a random tale. It's a team. They're not guessing. They're collecting. You stamp one more receipt anyway. Faster, sloppier, because paper trails don't have to be perfect. They just have to exist long enough to pass an audit at gunpoint. You shove the notebook back into place and leave the owner shaking behind the detergent wall, holding your fake reality together with his bare hands. The bank office is quiet in a way that feels illegal. Dark windows, one desk lamp, two monitors glowing like eyes that don't blink. You stand over the compliance officer's desk like the ceiling belongs to you. He's in a wrinkled shirt. He smells like coffee and fear. Through the glass door, a security guard sits outside with a bored posture and a real weapon. You slide a sealed envelope of cash onto the desk. Then you set the folded ledger page beside it. Not as evidence, as a warning. You tell him to backdate the deposits. You tell him to approve the volume. You tell him to delete the automated alerts before they wake up someone who thinks rules matter. His fingers hover over the keyboard. He types. He stops. He starts again. You keep one hand on the door lock. Your eyes catch the guard's reflection in the glass. If the guard stands, your night ends. The printer spits forms, approval codes, a neat little lie with official edges. The officer swallows and glances at the cash like it's radioactive. He speaks quietly like quiet can save him. He tells you these notes are flagged. Your brain runs the math in a single beat. A flag spreads. A flag becomes a freeze. A freeze becomes a phone call. You don't survive. You don't pull the money back. You don't slow down. You make him hit confirm. If the system is already coughing, you shove the cash down its throat before it can learn how to scream. Floodlights wash the used car auction lot in hard white. Rows of cars sit like cheap disguises. Engines cough, headlights sweep. You take a numbered paddle and start bidding like you're bored, like this isn't war money. You buy 3 junk cars for prices that make no sense. You do it on purpose. High numbers are easier to explain than missing numbers. Your runner stands close, duffel in hand, ready to pay the cashier. You keep your name off everything. You tell him to use his own ID on the forms. 2 men in baseball caps watch from the fence line. They don't clap, they don't buy, they just watch. They lift their phones like they're recording, not for fun, for proof. You feel the instinct to slow down, to change plans. To disappear, you kill that instinct. You nod at the runner to move faster, speed over safety. Again, at the cashier window, the runner opens the duffel, bills flash under the lights, and there it is, that same ink stamp on the notes in his hands. The tracker cash is no longer tied to your gloves, it's tied to his name. You watch him sign the paperwork and you already know what you're going to do to him next. The roadside checkpoint sits under an overpass like a trap that was always there. Portable work lights glare. Red-blue bars strobe against concrete. You're parked back in the shadow, far enough to deny, close enough to witness. Your burner phone is warm in your palm. You made the call, you fed the tip. You turned a normal road into a staged stop. Up ahead, your runner stands beside a police car. Officers open his trunk. Flashlights stab into the duffel. Your driver whispers from the front seat, asking if this is real police. You don't answer, it doesn't matter, the result is the same. You text the runner with 2 sentences that cut him loose. You tell him not to mention you, you tell him to take the charge. He looks up and scans the road like an animal sensing the hunter. For half a second, his eyes track toward your position. You duck lower. You refuse to meet his stare through the windshield. An officer pulls out the marked bundles and holds them up to the lights. Ink stamps glow like bruises. The runner's shoulders drop. He knows what he's holding. He knows who handed it to him. Cuffs click closed. You don't drive away yet. You wait long enough to make sure the decoy pipeline is now wearing your runner's face. Then you ease off the brake and leave him there, paying for your sunrise with his life. Dawn turns the world gray and honest. You hate it. You stand at a storage condominium unit with keys shaking in your hand. A hallway light buzzes above you like an insect stuck in glass. Your phone shows a proof of life screenshot the family posted, a terrified face cropped tight. Behind it, a distinctive wall stain, a tile seam that doesn't line up, details nobody meant to share. You unlock your unit. Inside, the same stain, the same tile seam, the same cheap blinds. Your stomach drops so hard you feel it in your knees. A muffled captive voice leaks from behind an interior door. You installed yourself, not for kidnapping, for storage, for cash, for secrets. Your driver hovers at the threshold. He doesn't step in like the air inside might mark him too. You follow the sound until you're in front of the locked interior room. Your hand rises to the padlock. You stop. If you open that door, you become a witness. You become part of a scene that will be replayed by enemies and allies until your name becomes a target. You swallow and pocket the phone. You choose not to open it. You back out, quiet, controlled. You lock the unit again. Now you understand the ledger page, the tracker, the ink. They didn't just map your pipeline. They mapped your cage. You walk away with one clear plan. You don't fix this, you escape it. You double-cross the boss because you can't erase a room that's already inside your life. Your front business opens to morning sun through dusty glass. The neon sign flickers like it's trying to pretend nothing happened. You make the decision to create a story the world can digest. 2 hired masked men wait inside. A clerk shakes behind the counter. Outside, a customer slows down and pulls out a phone. You smash a display case. Glass explodes across the floor. You fire a round into the ceiling to trigger a believable alarm. The crack rings through the shop and out into the street. You order the masked men to drag the safe into view. You pour a bag of loose cash onto the floor like a sacrifice. The clerk cries. You don't comfort him. You shove him down behind the counter so the security camera catches the right angle of his fear. This isn't theft, it's accounting. You're building an explanation for sudden movement, a reason for missing cash, a reason for deposits that don't match yesterday's reality. Sirens start to rise somewhere far off. Not close yet, but coming. You move to the DVR. You rip the hard drive out with a hard tug. Evidence is only useful when it belongs to you. You leave the clerk alive with a rehearsed script in his mouth and terror in his eyes. As you step back into the sunlight, you feel the city turning its head. You wanted a cover story. Now you have witnesses. The Riverside warehouse dock smells like wet rope and oil. Cold daylight makes everything look sharper, including the rifles. A rival crew waits by shipping crates. Their leader stands still, relaxed, like the water belongs to him. Your driver holds two identical duffels. Same weight, same zipper. One is clean money, one is counterfeit dressed up as clean. You set the real duffel down first. You tell the rival leader you're buying protection, a new identity, a way out. You offer routes, contacts, and the hidden ledger page. The thing someone planted to trace you. The leader tests bills with a knife, flipping edges, watching fibers. He doesn't smile. He asks why your pipeline is already mapped. You hesitate, just a beat. Too long, then you pull the ledger page from your wallet and hand it over anyway. You trade your last leverage for the hope of breathing tomorrow. He takes it like it's dirty, like it's proof you're already doomed. Your phone rings, video call from boss. The rival leader forces you to answer on speaker, not with words, with the barrel tilt that says refusal ends here. You accept the call. On the screen, the boss's accountant is already waiting, not angry, not rushed, prepared. You feel it in your teeth. Your double cross isn't a surprise, it's an appointment. You end up in a residential garage because that's where you always thought you were safest. Concrete, private door, your own space. Sunlight slants through the small windows and lands on oil stains like it's highlighting evidence. You kneel beside an open duffel. The phone is propped up, playing a live video count. The accountant's hands move through the stack one bill at a time, slow on purpose. Your counterfeit sits there like a bad joke. The camera zooms, wrong watermark, wrong texture, wrong life. You feel your throat go dry. You try to speak, but your mouth can't find a sentence that matters. The speakerphone switches channels. You hear the hostages breathing, close, trapped. Then one sharp shot, no speech, no bargaining, just the sound of an ending you caused without ever touching the trigger. Your phone lights up with notifications. Banking app declines, freezes, front accounts locking like doors you can't kick in. You refresh and watch the world shut you out in real time. You turn toward your driver, needing him to be human for 1 second. He doesn't answer. He raises a pistol with both hands, calm, final. You look down at your own hands. Ink stains from the marked cash still sit in the creases like the money branded you while you worked. You finally understand the ledger page wasn't just mapping your pipeline, it was mapping your removal. A final notification pops up, ASSETS frozen. The driver fires. You hit the concrete and the phone keeps recording, counting you as one more number in a system that never forgets. And the worst part is simple. You can't clean what you did, you can only disappear where it happened.